Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. Over 1,500 people in Western Alaska are now in recovery mode after major flooding hit their communities on Sunday. One person died and two are still missing from one of the hardest hit areas. The CBC's Juanita Taylor has the latest.
It's a very dire situation in Western Alaska. 49 coastal communities were in an unexpected direct path from the remnants of Typhoon Halong. Now, these are remote communities. They are mainly populated by Inupiat people. And as I mentioned, in a very dire situation today. Some have lost power, some have lost communication, and of course, supplies are dwindling. Now, this flood, it caught so many people off guard. They had very little warning it was going to get this bad. Now, the flood waters rose about 6 feet during the middle of the night Sunday. Many people climbed to the top of their houses, waiting to get rescued by helicopter on their rooftops. And what's also very shocking, as you can see in some of the pictures, is that some homes were actually lifted off their foundations and swept away. Now, one of the hardest hit communities is Kipnuk. It's a village with less than 600 people. And I spoke to somebody from Kipnuk last night, and he talked about the moment when he saw his uncle's house getting swept away. Have a listen to what Tristan Carl told me.
You know, the thing, I told them that they'll only be safe as long as they stay inside the house. You know, they were yelling and screaming inside, and I was in shock. And, you know, I felt sick to my stomach seeing that.
Now, Tristan Carl is also helping in recovery efforts. He told me last night that it could be about a year until people can return to their homes, if that. That's just a rough estimate, of course. Now, the second community hardest hit is Quigalingok. It's a village with about 400 people, and that is where one resident died and two people went missing. Now, an update to that situation, the Alaska State Troopers have called off that search. At a press conference yesterday, they said that the Coast Guard conducted about 8.5 hours of aerial search over 88 square miles, and they confirmed that those three victims were indeed from the same household. Now, the Alaska Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management is leading the recovery. They are being helped by a number of agencies, including the Alaska Rescue Coordination Center and the Alaska Air and Army National Guard. Now, people who have taken shelter in their local schools, they are going to get evacuated to Bethel if they have not been evacuated already. We are hearing that more people from across Western Alaska who have been directly impacted are going to get evacuated to Fairbanks and Anchorage. Now, as you can imagine, this will be a very, very long road to recovery. And for those who want to help, the Western Alaska Disaster Relief Fund is accepting cash donations.
That was the CBC's Juanita Taylor in Yellowknife. To the campaign trail in the Yukon now. Yukon NDP leader Kate White is apologizing after falsely claiming an Indigenous Development Corporation endorsed her party's housing plans. In a news release earlier this week, the party said Dadagai Development Corp backed its platform on housing. The company says it's not backing any one political party. White says she's sorry for the mistake.
So they supported the home ownership portion, and it was in the wrong part of our press release. Yep.
How does something like that happen?
That's pretty busy. So I've apologized to Dadagai, and I've thanked them for pointing it out, and we made the correction last night.
Dadagai CEO Ben Asquith declined to comment on the incident. The Yukon Party is making its case to voters for the upcoming territorial election. Its leader says the party is the real option for change. The party was the official opposition during the last Legislative Assembly. It was shut out of a confidence and supply agreement that saw the Yukon NDP prop up the minority Liberal government. Speaking to the CBC's Ellen Jones on Yukon Morning, Yukon Party leader Curry Dixon said the Liberals and NDP have had their chance to govern. He claimed their response was lacking when it came to several issues facing the territory. Among other things, Dixon pointed to the substance use health emergency and said there's been too much focus on harm reduction and not enough on incorporating other solutions.
think that there is a place for effective and functional harm reduction. I think safe supply is can be an important part of that mix. But what we're saying is not reducing that. What we're talking about is adding focus on treatment, prevention, and enforcement as well.
Dixon says other Yukon Party priorities include housing, healthcare, education, and working closely with First Nations governments. The Yukon is into its second week of a 31-day electoral campaign. The CBC's Gabrielle Plonka is following it all closely. She joins me now from Whitehorse. So, Gabrielle, what signs of the election are you seeing around the territory?
There are election signs popping up and blowing around with the intense wind we've had the last couple of days. There are also a slew of leaders' debates and promises trickling in from all parties.
Okay, what themes are emerging?
Well, certainly we're hearing a lot about cost of living, healthcare, education, and housing, but there are other issues too. Unlike the other territories, the Yukon has a road network linking all the communities except Old Crow. And so the condition and upkeep of these roads hits close to home, for some more than others. Yukoners around Whitehorse seem to agree highways leading into the city are okay.
I haven't driven out of town for a while, but certainly around the Whitehorse area, they're fine.
We live on the Anilik Road, 22 kilometers down, and they maintain the road really well. I'm always amazed how good a shape that dirt gravel road is.
But drive a few kilometers in any direction and the story changes.
It's pretty bad in places like Haynes Junction area. Big potholes. Yeah.
BC highways are very well maintained even in the winter as well. For Yukon, they don't maintain the potholes.
The roads are very bad. Dave left last winter places on the road near Fox Lake so bad that somebody had an accident because of the road. And it was a pretty bad accident.
We see a lot of accidents. We see a lot of, obviously, severe weather. It's scary sometimes, to travel on there.
She says it's a big issue for people who travel for essential services like medical care.
We would like to see the highways maintained, safety improved.
Road improvement has not made the cut in any of the party's early campaign promises yet. When asked, Liberal leader Mike Pemberton said his government would hire local help to improve rural roads. The Yukon Party has pledged an annual fund for, quote, critical infrastructure repair and says more promises are coming. The Yukon NDP says it'll fix the Lewes River and Takini bridges, repair the Robert Campbell Highway, and improve winter maintenance around Swift River. Gabrielle Plonka, CBC News, Whitehorse.
In the Northwest Territories, the federal and territorial governments have announced a combined $5.5 million to help repair social housing units. The funding will cover 150 units in nearly 24 NWT communities. Repairs range from heating and plumbing to repairing windows or doors. The agreement gives until March 2028 for the units to be fixed. The CEO of Housing NWT says things are ahead of schedule.
While this agreement allows for 3 years to complete repairs, by March 2028, I am pleased to report that our current planning projects allowing these 150 units to be repaired by the end of the 26-27 fiscal year.
The funding comes as part of Canada's new agency, Build Canada Homes. It's part of the Liberal government's promise to double housing construction across the country. Yellowknife City Council rezoned a parcel of land near Rotary Centennial Park after a public hearing on Tuesday night. The land was first meant to go to a ballot draw for residential development, but now there's an interested buyer who wants to snap up the whole thing. Sarah St. Pierre has more.
It's still in early stages, but the Delaunay-Gauthier government has a plan to develop new housing in Yellowknife. It's on a parcel of land that Yellowknife City Council unanimously voted to rezone Tuesday.
All those in favor? And that carries unanimously.
The vote happened after a public hearing, during which representatives for the Indigenous government presented their vision.
The first thing we want to speak to is that it's an incredibly beautiful site with the rock, the shield, the landscape, the views, and so forth. And so the first goal of the project, as we see it, is to be as light on the land as possible. It is a steep site. There's some challenges with that, but the goal is any and every way that we can find to be light on the land is in respect of this beautiful site.
Here's what they have in mind so far. Up to 75 housing units would be built on top of the rocky cliffs. The flatter area on the right would become a parking lot, and the space in between, bridging them, would be accessible to the public by connecting with existing trails. The plan has some early fans.
I mean, it was the first chance I've seen sort of what they're actually thinking. I think it's a really great opportunity to see. It's great to see so many professionals engaged on this who are, see something that can be both functional and beautiful for our city. That always makes me very happy to see.
The city of Yellowknife has confirmed that the Delaunay-Gautineau government has made an offer to buy the whole rezoned parcel. A city administrator said at the public hearing that if someone is able to purchase it, the city may choose to sell the land that way rather than through a ballot draw. Representatives for the Delaunay-Gautineau government said that this plan is part of a greater goal to develop a significant amount of housing in the city. Sarah Saint-Pierre, CBC News, Yellowknife.
The city of Iqaluit has approved its 2026 capital budget, and with the approval comes almost $83 million in spending. Manor Mubarak breaks it all down.
More than half of the 2026 capital budget funding amount, over $43 million, will go towards water supply infrastructure. That includes things like water supply and storage. Kyle Shepard is a city councillor who says the budget comes as good news.
I'm excited. We're going to spend quite a bit of money, but on some very critically important projects. We're finally going to see shovels go in the ground on the expansion of our water supply with a new reservoir.
More than $15 million is also being set aside for wastewater system upgrades, and more than $5 million is going towards city facility improvements. More than $6 million will go towards roadway and drainage improvements. That includes spending $2 million towards paving the road to Apex and another $2 million towards paving the road to Plateau. The 2026 capital budget is almost $12 million higher than the capital budget set for this year. Manor Mubarak, CBC News, Iqaluit.
Development of a new 3-story building in Iqaluit is moving forward. City Council voted in favor of granting a development permit to the project at a meeting Tuesday. According to the permit application, the building would have commercial space on all 3 floors, and it would be located across 5 lots along Mivik Street, Fred Coleman Street, and Iqaluit Drive. The application proposes 36 parking spaces, a sheltered bicycle rack, and 4 parking spaces for alternative modes of transportation. Council unanimously voted in favor of granting the permit as long as the applicant meets some required conditions. In the Northwest Territories, the trial in the death of a teenager in Betchakon heard final submissions from the Crown and defense today. Tamara Merritt reports.
Zack Laughafery, who was pleaded not guilty, is charged with second-degree murder in the death of Dejan Drybones. During the Crown's final submissions, Crown Prosecutor Brendan Green described the night of Drybones' death. He referred to the declaration Drybones made to the first responder that Laughafery had stabbed him. Green told the jury that Drybones was in a good position to identify who stabbed him because the wound was on his chest and he had spent time with Laughafery that evening. Green also pointed out inconsistencies in Laughafery's statement to the police when he was in custody. During the defense's final submissions, Laughafery's lawyer, Kimberly Ariel, told the court to consider Laughafery's statement to the police as reliable, saying any inconsistencies could be a result of Laughafery's intoxication during that night, and that the jury should consider Laughafery's statement in its entirety. Ariel also said the court shouldn't rely on Drybones' statement to first responders because she said there was no opportunity to cross-examine Drybones on the statement, and Drybones had been drinking and was intoxicated that night. Justice David Gates will charge the jury tomorrow. Tamara Merritt, CBC News, Yellowknife.
A correction to a story we ran last night. We implied that CBC News had spoken to Ken Weaver about the sale of Weaver and DeVore in Yellowknife. In fact, CBC spoke with an employee at Weaver and DeVore.
On your marks.
Get set.
Miracles never cease. They're making more money than they have ever made in the history of the music business.
I'm a nanny. Like Mary Poppins?
It's like the Force. Sorry, have you seen Star Wars?
No.
Very predictable, you know that?
I'm hardly predictable.
Watch me. Follow my every move.
I'm trying very hard not to connect with people right now.
Wonderfully vibrant cuisine.
Salted egg yolk, Dungeness crab.
The most generous people you'll ever meet.
We always want to share the best with you. That's how we show love.
Lavish celebrations.
If this is where Filipino food is headed, I'm so proud.
Beautiful.
The city was under a state of emergency.
When you want news,
was found alive.
we are here for you.
CBC News, Ottawa.
And here.
Winnipeg, Whitehorse.
And here.
Cote-du-Lac, Saskatoon,
And here.
Montreal,
Calgary,
Vancouver,
Charlottetown, Dartmouth.
A man purchased this box.
What did he look like?
A man. Normal. Not particularly attractive. And he's standing right behind you.
So, you want to watch the CBC News streaming channel? You can, wherever and whenever you want. Here's how to find us. We're on the CBC News app, on CBC Gem, and on your smart TV. Stream anytime, it's always free. CBC News.
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? I think we can explain.
About that with Andrew Chang.
The Yukon Environmental and Socioeconomic Assessment Board, or YESAB, has recommended that a contentious exploration project in the Whitehorse area move ahead. Gladiator Metals wants to drill in and near the city to look for copper deposits. In its evaluation report, the YESAB office that assessed the proposal recommended that it proceed with several conditions. Those conditions are meant to mitigate adverse impacts on wildlife, water, recreation, and heritage resources. The executive director of YESAB says the project has received a lot of attention.
At YESAB as an organization, we look at significant adverse effects. So this project was unique as well because we did get over 90 comments from public and businesses as well. And some of them were explaining the positive effects of this project. And that's actually one thing that we always can't fully address as people wish to.
Bretzlaff says the interest in some of the proposed work may be due to it taking place within city limits and overlapping with cross-country ski trails at Mount McIntyre. The City of Whitehorse and Yukon government will now decide whether to approve, alter, or deny Gladiator's proposal. In Yellowknife, a multi-vehicle crash over Thanksgiving weekend has left one car enthusiast with a big project ahead of him. The incident happened on School Draw Avenue at around 5 a.m. on Saturday morning. A security camera captured the incident, as you saw there. It shows the offending vehicle catching fire and two people exiting the truck. One of the vehicles damaged was a 1977 F-250 belonging to Yellowknifer Chris Gillander. He says the truck has been in his family for well over 30 years. And after the significant damage, his plan to restore it will now get underway sooner.
It pushed the one trailer out of the way and into my neighbor's truck, hit another trailer down the street with enough force that it pushed into their Bronco, which then pushed their Bronco into the F-150 next to it. I have no idea how fast he was going, but you can see from that video that he really hit it.
Police say they arrested a 27-year-old man who fled the scene. Others at the scene say the man appeared to be intoxicated and that the suspect blew 2 times over the legal limit for alcohol on a breath test. Gillander says his truck was badly damaged, but he still hopes he can restore it. Automaker Stellantis is moving part of its Canadian production to the United States. The decision was announced as part of a multi-billion-dollar investment to expand production south of the border. Prime Minister Mark Carney says the move is a direct consequence of U.S. tariffs. Nisha Patel tells us what it means for workers.
Stellantis won't build its Jeep Compass SUV at this assembly plant in Brampton, Ontario. Instead, the company is moving production across the border to Illinois.
There's been a lot of uncertainty and anxiety from our members.
The plant was scheduled to reopen this year, but Stellantis paused retooling in February after U.S. President Donald Trump slapped a 25% tariff on foreign-made autos. With the plant's future now up in the air, more than 3,000 jobs are at risk.
We're not taking this sitting down. We're not just going to sit here and say that's okay, because it's not okay.
It comes as Stellantis plans to spend $13 billion over the next 4 years to boost its American auto production by 50%, creating more than 5,000 jobs in the U.S.
We share with President Trump his goal to have, again, manufacturing system in automotive very strong in U.S.
This is the consequence of these Trump tariffs, this attack on the Canadian economy. And it's not just the Stellantis employees. There's going to be many associated auto parts jobs that are affected by this.
Ontario's auto sector has struggled since the trade war began. Earlier this year, GM cut 750 jobs in Oshawa as it boosted manufacturing at one of its plants in Indiana.
It doesn't stop at auto. They will keep coming until they have weakened us as a nation and as an economy. And that is something we can't stand for.
In a statement to CBC News, Stellantis insists it is investing in Canada by adding a third shift to its plant in Windsor, Ontario. Stellantis says it does have plans for this Brampton plant and says it will share them after it meets with the federal government. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Brampton, Ontario.
Back to the election trail now, and a concern that's been looming about how the Canada Post strike could affect elections here in the north. Mail is moving across the country now after Canada Post workers switched from a nationwide strike to rotating job action. But it came too late for some regions, where important voting materials were stuck in limbo. As Marina von Stackelberg reports, that is prompting calls for change.
Canada Post was supposed to mail all these registration cards. But with municipal elections across Quebec just weeks away, officials like those in the town of Chelsea scrambled to get the information out in other ways.
We decided to deliver the card by a courier. The courier will ensure that everyone will receive a card and we will have a proof of that.
The strike was so disruptive, the city of Montreal is now calling for all election materials to be deemed essential mail, so voter information and mail-in ballots aren't held hostage in any future Canada Post strikes.
The city of Gatineau paid a bailiff to deliver its registration cards. So instead of serving legal notices, they served election information. In most parts of Canada, you can just register to vote on election day. Not in Quebec. Here, voters have to make sure they are correctly on the list this week to make sure they can cast their ballot next month.
We're really focused on getting all the polling places organized now.
People across Yukon also go to the polls in November, so the territory has a contingency plan. Mail-in ballots have been delivered with a patchwork of services by road and air. Elections Yukon also loosened the rules for in-person voting. People can now show up at any polling station in their electoral district.
We have kind of a philosophy and approach here that everything is figure-outable. And obviously we want to make sure that we keep the integrity, the access, the services to the electors.
Alberta's municipal elections are next week. Like many other jurisdictions across Canada, that province has made voter information accessible online. So while voter registration cards aren't essential to cast a ballot, they do play a vital role.
The best way after personal contact to get somebody to be mobilized to go to the polls is through this sort of direct mailing information.
Those cards are particularly important in provincial, territorial, and municipal elections, where the rules can all be different and voter turnout already tends to be low. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Gatineau, Quebec.
And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.